Welcome to your favorite guide to our world in the justice sector. We call the program The Scale, and it is meant to balance up issues in the justice sector. Although in the justice sector itself, the symbol of the scale in this is a symbol of justice. I'm Femi Okewo with the pleasure of welcoming you to the program. And on this program today, we shall be looking at various issues. Let's take a break first. Traditionally, about this time of the year, the judiciary is always resuming from its annual leave. But the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted a number of things. And so courts are still grappling with returning to their normal calendar. One such court that has been able to get it right quickly is the Court of Appeal. Yes, of course, all other courts too managed to go on one break or the other, one vacation or the other, with the provision of the law that allows for vacation judges. But the Court of Appeal has decided to start off its new legal year with a conference for its justices and, of course, using the opportunity to also mark the legal year officially. Other courts will be coming up later, but it's always an opportunity for the courts to review its performances and look at how well it has been able to do. All through the vacation period, the Court of Appeal was on the front burner of discourse in Nigeria. And you remember the steps which the Chief Justice of Nigeria had to take to bring judges of lower courts in line with what the law expects them to do, talking about the misuse of ex parte orders. The Court of Appeal was not involved in all that, but a lot of the outstanding issues from the lower courts had to be settled at the Court of Appeal. Now, declaring the new legal year open, the president of the Court of Appeal had to warn again that judges and justices should always adhere strictly to the law. So let's open our program today with a focus on the new legal year of the Court of Appeal, which was marked here in Abuja. Olabode Arewa is our guide.
This inspection of a parade of colors mounted in honor of the President's Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongpam Mensem, and other justices, signals the commencement of the 2021 legal year at the appellate courts. And with the ceremonies over, the important business of the day begins. Firing the first shot, the President of the Court of Appeal outlines successes recorded by the various divisions of the courts in the last legal year, despite challenges posed by COVID-19.
The Honorable the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Dr. Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, CFR, demonstrated visionary leadership by signing the National Judicial Council COVID-19 guidelines for court sittings and related matters in the COVID-19 period of lockdown of 7th May 2020. This became the standard that all jurisdictions and courts applied. Drawing from this template, I directed the enactment of the Court of Appeal guidelines on remote hearing of appeals in 2020, in line with the National Judicial Council guidelines. As an essential service provider, the court remained open during the lockdown. I braved the period in faith and led my brother justices to expeditiously determine time-bound appeals. I strongly believe that we shall record more successes in the future. These successes will, however, be founded upon the laws and rules of this court.
Touching on the uproar generated by the recent ex parte orders granted by some courts, The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN, admonishes judicial officers to ensure their actions deepen public confidence in the judiciary.
The Court of Appeal occupies a prime place in our hierarchy of courts in Nigeria, second only to the Supreme Court, and by dint of this lofty position, determines appeals on practically all subject matter in our jurisprudence. With this mandate, the Court has contributed and continues to contribute positively and effectively to the resolution of appeals, which only in rare instances further proceed to the Supreme Court, thus helping to maintain the stability of Nigeria. Consequent upon the sacred constitutional mandate, I respectfully urge my lords to maintain the sanctity and credibility of the court and to ensure that the sacred integrity reposed on your lordships remains unshaken at all times in order to foster and promote public confidence in all rulings that emanate from this court.
The role of the judiciary in ensuring that we meet our desired objectives has become more profound. There is, however, no doubt that the men and women that sit on the bench will always rise up to the occasion and ensure that we remain on the path of growth and development. It must, however, be mentioned that the role of the judiciary, especially with the use of the mobile court system, ensured the enforcement of pandemic rules and guaranteed that we were not overwhelmed and ensured that we were all safe. Our appreciation for this runs deep, and I pledge our continuous cooperation to the judiciary in the discharge of their responsibility to our dear country.
The Nigerian Bar Association could not agree less.
For a judge that is called upon to do justice is simply taking the place of God Almighty here on earth. So do justice, have the fear of God and do justice. And it takes two to tango, or maybe three, or even four. For instance, whenever we come to condemn or criticize judges for the decisions they take, it took a lawyer first and foremost to file that case. And the law says that whatever you bring to the judge, no matter how stupid, the judge has to determine it. That is the law. So they are under a duty. Whenever you bring, frivolous as it might be, they have a duty to determine it. So while we talk about judges, let's also talk about we lawyers who carry these matters to court because we've been paid to do these matters. And that is wrong. Our motivation for what we do, both on the bench and on the bar, shouldn't be what we get. And particularly for lawyers in practice, it shouldn't be about how much money you get from your client.
Having regards to the circumstances we are operating, I would say that the bench has not fared badly at all, because I'm sure without the intervention of the bench, once in a while, things probably would have gone very, very bad. At least for now, we know that there's still some element of rule of law. There is also the judiciary that people can resort to. And it brings about some hope that when you are deprived, when you are denied, you have access to the judicial process. It may take time, but at least you know there's somewhere to go to.
Some of the issues that were raised about foreign shopping.
Well, that definitely is very, very condemnable. It's very, very condemnable, and I've always spoken against our colleagues who engage in that. You cannot do that. It undermines the whole process. It brings the system to ridicule, and it's unhealthy. So lawyers and judges who encourage that, I believe, should be sanctioned, and that will be a lesson to others who are likely to follow. If we are not very careful, it will become the trend as we march toward 2023.
So stock taking from the last year to this year. And it's like, imagine that, just as the president said, that he has been take stock from 2020 to this year, and promising that next year will be more vibrant than before. possibly the area of infrastructure, court system, and our annal of judicial system. But most importantly, my voice here is that as we enter a new legal year, we have to be very careful this year against the issue of conflicting judgment and decision of courts. More so that we're entering political year again. By next year, 2022, we'll start pre-election matters. And these are aspects where politicians push for their interests, not minding who else is God. So we have to take steps to cure that defect of conflicting judgment and rulings or orders of courts. These are aspects that our judiciary has to take note of.
In the last legal year, 5,092 appeals and 9,249 motions were entertained across the 20 divisions of the appellate courts. Out of these, 3,111 appeals were disposed of, including 528 judgments delivered via the online platforms.
Many other courts will be coming in with their new legal year program, and it would afford them an opportunity to look at areas where they are falling short and see how the 2021-2022 legal year will give them an opportunity to make amends where desirable. Now, human rights is a very crucial issue for every human being, and across the world, it is now being focused on as a veritable avenue for governments to show how concerned they are for their citizens. In Nigeria, the National Human Rights Commission has inaugurated its governing council, and a retreat was organized for the governing council. And this is an opportunity not just for the governing council alone to have a good grasp of the outstanding issues in human rights in Nigeria, but also for the management of the National Human Rights Commission to put forward their achievements, to put forward their areas of challenges, and also to put forward the aspirations of the human rights community in Nigeria. Ali Otuku covered the retreat at the National Judicial Institute and now brings us details.
Just like the popular saying, it is better to hit the iron when it is hot to get the desired shape. The newly appointed members of the 5th Governing Council of the National Human Rights Commission, with burning zeal, are in a retreat to strategize for the task ahead.
The retreat is for both the management and the new Governing Council, which is a further step in the right direction. As you are aware, the management has been in charge of managing the affairs of the Commission since the past 5 years, when the 4th Governing Council was dissolved in 2016. It therefore makes perfect sense to have a joint retreat for a proper briefing of the new Council to ensure the necessary synergy for a smooth elevation of the Commission to the next level, as earlier indicated by the chairperson of the Council. And by the way, let me also especially congratulate the management of the National Human Rights Commission. Part of the concern and the fear that we had when the Governing Council was being screened was that they might have some hard time, some tough time, settling down to their role. Because in some other agencies where the management had taken charge for such a long time without a Governing Council or a governing board, it's always very difficult for them to yield the platform and allow the incoming Governing Council the space to do their job. You are a good example, and we commend you to other agencies of the government of this country.
Well, this retreat is a very strategic meeting which is being organized by the Commission to ensure that the 5th Governing Council is fully equipped to face the challenges posed in their work of protection and promotion of human rights. As you know, a retreat like this is a soul-searching event. First of all, to highlight key areas that the new Governing Council members need to note. It's an opportunity to interact for interaction between the governing council and all levels of human rights promotion, both at the African level and both at the global level. It is also an opportunity for the new governing council members to interact with the management of the commission, who have been managing the affairs of the commission for some time now, so that they can give them an insight. They can look at the laws together. They can look at the strategic work plan together. They can look at the national action plan for the promotion and protection of human rights together, so that there will be a common understanding among the people who are going to decide on the policy and operations of the commission, so that we can speak with one voice, so we can have a common understanding of all the basic issues concerning our work.
The Fifth Council, humbly led by my good self, have met excellent work on the ground, done by previous council, done by the management and staff of the National Human Rights Commission. So our intention is to build on that and take it a step further. We come with a lot of goodwill and enthusiasm and hope to leave the commission better than we have met it in terms of protection of human rights of all Nigerians and those living in Nigeria, and in terms of meeting all international standards of best practice in human rights protection.
Considering the spate of conflicts in the society, which sometimes leads to impunity, the National Human Rights Commission members of the governing board say is charting a new course to enhance access to justice for all in the country.
Even from a general point of view, I think impunity, high level of impunity in any society causes a high level of abuse of human rights. And so we just would not be working on erasing human rights abuses in Nigeria alone. I think we should also be wanting to impress on all the agencies of government that can stem impunity to do something about it, because invariably human rights would benefit from it, because when people know that there's a consequence for their actions, there will be little violations of people's human rights, which is our immediate duty. And so that is what we will be going into. We'll be determining policies, putting in place policies that would help to respect human rights and help people to know, to be educated on the level of human rights, their responsibilities and the benefits of human rights.
To function optimally, stakeholders are of the opinion that there is need to increase funding for the commission.
Let me emphasize that a significant part of the work of the new governing council of the commission will be for the chairman and members to deploy all their contacts, energy, and network to ensuring that they lobby for an increase in the budgetary allocation to the commission. As the need for human rights abuses deepen, the need for the commission to be properly funded also becomes more compelling.
Well, we have looked at our mandate under the current act, and we have looked at the current challenges that the commission is facing, particularly in terms of funding, in terms of enforcement of its decisions. And these are areas that we intend to work with all stakeholders to ensure that they are uplifted and that the working conditions for staff especially better enabled, because we've met a workforce that is very, very committed, very hardworking, but with very, very low compensation and welfare in terms of overall outlook of the country, and we intend to look into that seriously and address it.
With a new governing council operational about 5 years after the dissolution of the last board, it is expected that the commission can now carry out enforcement and enlightenment across the country with ease.
And now on the program, let us take our regular segment from the courts.
The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has received ruling on an application filed by the Lagos State government seeking to be joined as an interested party in an appeal filed by the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS). The FIRS is challenging a judgment of the Federal Court, Port Harcourt, which permitted the Rivers State government to begin the collection of the value-added tax. The FIRS had argued in a submission that allowing Rivers State, or any other state for that matter, to be in charge of the collection of VAT is against the provisions of the Taxes and Levies Act of 1998. The Attorney General of Lagos State, Moyoshori Onigbanjo, SAN, had in a submission argued that the outcome of the case would affect Lagos State one way or another. Justice Aruna Sanami, presiding over the three-man panel of the appellate court, received ruling after parties had argued their applications. The Maiduguri commander of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) have arraigned one Bukar Mohammed before the Borno State High Court, Maiduguri, on one count of allegedly obtaining 43 million naira by false pretense and converting the money entrusted in his custody to his personal use. Specifically, he was said to have fraudulently induced one Alhaji Ali Mohammed to keep some foreign currencies for him, but the defendant converted same contrary to Section 1, Subsection 1 of the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act of 2006. The defendant pleaded not guilty to the charge, while the prosecution counsel for Suma Mohammed prayed the court to remand the defendant in correctional custody pending trial. Meanwhile, one Fatai Gbadamosi had been arraigned before a magistrate court sitting in Ile-Ife, Osun State, for allegedly using another man's building as collateral for a bank loan. The defendant claimed to own the house in an affidavit of ownership which he swore to, and used same to obtain the 500,000 naira loan from an Ile-Ife-based microfinance bank. The police prosecutor, Inspector Elijah Adechina, informed the court that the defendant also used the forged survey plan and the sale of land agreement for the said building. The defendant, however, pleaded not guilty to 4 counts leveled against him, while his defense counsel, Nicholas Babatunde, prayed the court to admit the defendant to bail pending trial.
So much on the scale today. On the program, we have looked at the new legal year of the Court of Appeal and also the retreat for the National Human Rights Commission new governing council. We shall be looking at other emerging areas in the coming days as you join us. Thank you for being part of today's program, and we'll see you again.